Show. Be inspired, be empowered. The Anouk Show. Thursday morning on GSSL Radio.
Welcome back to another episode of The Anouk Show. I'm your girl Anouk, and I am super excited that you have joined for your weekly dose of inspiration. We are here to inspire, encourage, motivate, and empower. We know that in this life be lifing, people be peopling, and God be Godding. And so we have to remember that in the midst of it all, we can do some amazing things because God is on our side. God is in our corner. So I really encourage each of you all to remember that you are an original and that you can go and co-create whatever life that you want. You just have to be focused and believe in God and line up your actions. Line up your actions and just go get it. So I encourage each of you all to really sit back and think about, what do you want to achieve, and create your plan and execute. And you will be blown away with what you can really achieve and all the way that things are just going to come together. So let's go get this, and let's continue to make sure that in 2025 that we go after and get everything that's meant for us. I really do appreciate you for being part of this Anouk Show family. I appreciate all of my sponsors, and right now we're going to take a quick break to hear word from those sponsors. Are you looking to amplify your brand? Well, look no further. Linked Superpowers is the company for you. Linked Superpowers is a cutting-edge global branding, social media, and PR agency. They help to reshape professional visibility and influence. They've been in business for a decade now, and they are on top of the game with proven results. Reach out to Linked Superpowers at www.linkedsuperpowers.com. Hey, this is your girl Anouk, and I personally use and love Mended Naturally products, and I'm not alone. These clean, natural formulas are made to nourish, restore, and pamper your skin the way nature intended. So please check out www.mendednaturally.com. That's www.mendednaturally.com to get your products today and experience the difference for yourself. Pure, simple, and naturally. Again, www.mendednaturally.com.
The Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Show. Hey, what you say? Anouk Show. Be motivated. Anouk Show. Yeah, yeah. The Anouk Show.
Good morning. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31 is a reminder that speaks to the strength and the renewal that comes from waiting on the Lord. Waiting on the Lord, the verse emphasizes the importance of waiting on God. In our fast-paced world, it can be challenging to pause and trust in His timing. Waiting doesn't mean inactivity. It's about being patient and having faith that God is working in our lives. When we take time to seek Him through prayer and reflection, we open ourselves to the guidance and strength. Renewed strength. The promise of the renewed strength is a beautiful assurance. Life can be exhausting, and we often face challenges that drain us emotionally and physically. However, when we turn to God, He replenishes us our energy and spirit. This renewal isn't just about physical strength, it encompasses emotional and spiritual vitality. It reminds us that we are not alone in our struggles. Soaring like eagles, eagles are known for their ability to soar high above the storms, using the wind beneath their wings. This symbolizes rising above challenges and finding perspective in difficult times. When we rely on God, we can navigate life's storms with grace, knowing that we have the strength to rise above our circumstance. Running and not fainting, truths can inspire us to lean on our faith during tough times, knowing that we are equipped to overcome. This is your inspirational moment by Minister Derek Renter.
The Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Hey, Show. What you say? Anouk Show. Be motivated. Anouk Show. Yeah, yeah. The Anouk Show.
Patience is the art of silent hope in the waiting room of dreams. In the pause between desire and delight lies the beauty of waiting. Waiting is not a waste of time. It's the space where possibilities whisper. Trust is the invisible thread that binds hearts beyond words. Building trust is like crafting a masterpiece, each action a delicate brushstroke. Trust is the anchor that steadies the ship amidst life's storms. When we think about trust and waiting, we enter a realm where patience and faith intertwine to form a profound narrative in our lives. Trust is the foundation upon which relationships are built, whether between friends, family, or colleagues. It's an invisible force that provides strength and security, allowing connections to flourish. But trust does not appear overnight. It is cultivated through consistent actions and honest communication. Like a tree that grows slowly, bearing fruit in time, trust deepens through shared experiences and mutual respect. Waiting, on the other hand, is often where trust is most tested. In our fast-paced world, waiting can feel like an eternity, but it is in these moments that trust becomes essential. Whether waiting for a loved one's promise to be fulfilled, a career opportunity to arise, or a personal goal to manifest, patience acts as a bridge to our desired outcomes. During this time, trust serves as a reassuring voice that encourages us to hold on and believe in the process, even when the path isn't clear. The synergy between trust and waiting teaches us important life lessons. It reminds us that some of the most valuable things cannot be rushed. Instead, they require patience and resilience. While waiting, we learn to trust the journey, recognizing that every delay could be an opportunity in disguise, a chance for growth, reflection, and preparation. Ultimately, embracing the interconnection between trust and waiting can transform our perspective. Instead of seeing waiting as a passive state, we perceive it as an active, hopeful interlude, one where trust sustains us, offering patience and peace as we watch our life stories unfold. In this way, trust and waiting together can lead to deeper connections and more meaningful achievements. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Check out www.linkedsuperpowers.com and let them take your brand to the next level. www.linkedsuperpowers.com. I don't get a chance to watch a lot of television, it seems, here lately. But last week, I actually watched a phenomenal movie on Tubi. It was called 10 Toes Down. This is the one that's written and directed by Benet Embry. It's a story about two black female detectives trying to stop a serial killer that's targeting other black women and children. It's a crazy story, but in a really good way. I really liked it, and I think you'll like it too. Please check out 10 Toes Down on Tubi. It's the one written and directed by Benet Embry. Let me know what you think. Thanks.
Don't wait any longer. Order your copy of the book called 30 Days to Yes to Me by Anouk McIntyre on Amazon today, or get the audio or ebook at www.anouk-mc.com. This book emphasizes the importance of self-love and personal growth and fulfillment.
If you missed last week's episode or any episode of The Anouk Show, just go to my YouTube page, which is Anouk, A-N-O-U-K, Brumfield, B-R-U-M-F-I-E-L-D, and you get access to all the replays absolutely free. If you enjoy them, please share it with someone else. I really do appreciate you for being part of this Anouk Show family. Thank you. The
Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Show. Hey, what you say? Anouk Show. Be motivated. Anouk Show. Yeah. Anouk Show. It's inspiration time. Come on and renew your mind. Everybody, it's inspiration time with Anouk.
Today, we have another very special guest whose life and career has been a beacon of leadership, integrity, and community service. Let's give a very warm welcome to Curtis R. Joseph Jr. Curtis is not only a renowned partner at a prestigious law firm in Shreveport, Louisiana, but he's also a very dynamic force in both defense and plaintiff litigation. He has crafted a distinguished career characterized by unwavering dedication to justice. But Curtis's achievements don't stop in the courtroom. He's also alumni of Washington and Lee University, where his impact was felt deeply as a founding member of a fraternity. He earned his Bachelor's of Arts in Mass Communications in 1993 and went on to obtain his Juris Doctorate in 1996. During his time at Washington and Lee, Curtis showed his compassionate side by performing clinical work, focusing on post-conviction relief for the inmates of the Federal Women's Prison Camp in West Virginia. Furthermore, Curtis has also shaped young minds and inspired students as a language arts, social studies, and religions teacher at Bishop Perry Middle School in New Orleans. His connection with his students remains strong as they continue to keep in touch with him to this very day. Curtis is a devoted husband, a loving father of two, and when he's not advocating for justice, he fuels his creative spirit as a talented jazz and blues drummer. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming an incredible individual, my friend, the multi-talented Curtis R. Joseph Jr. Curtis, thank you for being here. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic, and thank you for having me.
Curtis, you're one that have always been motivating to me. I've watched you through the years when we were in high school, and I'm just so very impressed with all that you've accomplished and how you've always done it with integrity. So, Curtis, I would like to just ask you a few questions. My first question is, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your life, and how did you overcome them?
Again, Anouk, thanks for having me. As you know, you've always been a hero of mine. all the way back to 1985. And so I'm honored to be here with you and to share a few thoughts of mine, and hopefully my story might be an inspiration to somebody else. In terms of challenges, like many, my parents were divorced when I was young. My father was a substance abuser, and that was very damaging and destructive, as you can imagine, to our household. He's in a full disclosure and disclaimer. He's in a much, much better place now. And so I applaud him for going through his own trials and tribulations and coming out on the other side. And so, but as it regarded my growing up, that made things relatively difficult. As a parent of two, I can, if I share anything with anybody who's thinking about having children or who has them and might be struggling, the most important thing they need is consistency. They need to know that irrespective of how difficult your day has been, that when you hit the back door or, however you enter the house, that all that goes out the window and you're just there for them on a day-to-day basis and providing that foundation that gives them the opportunity to springboard themselves into wherever they're supposed to be going. Whatever God has in store for them, you just kind of provide a foundation for them. And so, despite my parents having their struggles, my mother raised myself and my brother, and with the help of one of my aunts, who was almost like mother part B for me, and truly a village of people, both family and friends of my mom's, kind of helped shore up wherever the foundation was cracked as a consequence of my parents' marriage. And that's not indicative of an economic challenge. That's not a black or white issue. Having a solid foundation is something that every child needs. And so in terms of challenges, navigating that was a big deal for me.
Wow, you said a lot of incredible nuggets there. One I heard was consistency.
Right.
And that's something that I haven't heard or thought much about, but you're right. Children really need that consistency, and that consistency will lay a very strong foundation, because that then shows, I also see, dependency, right? So very, very awesome to share and remind people of the importance of, consistency. And also just to know that no matter where we are now, often a lot of us had to go through a lot of challenges to get there. And so you had your set of challenges. And so it's great to see that your mom and your aunt was right there for you and stood in the gap in the midst of everything. So can you tell me about a pivotal moment in your life where you felt everything changed for the better?
I would go back to the conversation, the portion of the conversation we were just having. Once my parents, primarily my mom, finally decided that it was enough, and we moved out of our house and into my grandparents' house, that was a big stress relief for me. A lot of people, want to hold on to bad relationships and, things that aren't really conducive toward achievement and even just basic peace of mind. And my mom decided, like, to use an old blues song. She's like, I could do bad by myself. And so when we moved out, let's phrase it like this. It's been said that, we need the fight or flight reflex, right? We need, from a self-sustaining standpoint, to be able to preserve our life, we have to have that fight flight reflex. But we don't need to have the sort of situation where it's like you're fighting a bear all day, every day. And so in our situation before we left, there was always just tension. It was never a physical situation. He didn't physically abuse either me or my mother or my brother. But it was just the tension, associated with it and the stress levels associated with it. And so when we finally moved out, I didn't have that. And so I wasn't a typical, my parents are getting split up sort of situation. I was light years actually ahead of my mother in that situation. But and I want to harken back and be sure that this is emphasized. My father is a much better person now. We're friends. I visit with him. I joke with him. We talk on the phone all the time. He's a much better grandfather, to be quite frank, than he was a father. And so, and I hold no grudges or no ill will toward him. It's just in terms of my own development. Once that happened, once my parents finally, called it quits, that was a load off, and I was able to just relax and focus on being a child and all the things that 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old children, focus on. And having, a lot of my relatives. So having uncles like Reverend Johnny Horton, my mom's oldest brother, and Reverend James Beasley, my aunt's husband, the one that helped raise me, Catherine Beasley, her husband, Reverend James Beasley. To have uncles like that, my uncle Edward Horton, who provided solid examples of what husbands and fathers look like, and what they do and how they provide for their family, how they treat women, how they garner respect, how they respect others. Those are all things that were pivotal for me and kind of helped chart my course.
Thank God for the village, right? It definitely takes a village.
Nicely.
Yeah. So, Curtis, you've done so much in your career, in the community with students. But have you ever experienced self-doubt or imposter syndrome? And if so, how did you navigate through those feelings?
I would say that everybody at some point experiences self-doubt. I like that phrase, imposter syndrome. I like that. And the answer is not just yes, but absolutely yes. So I have a late birthday. I have a November birthday. And so I was always kind of one of the younger students in my classes. We graduated high school in '89, and I went to college in Virginia. And, our Caddo, here's a plug for Caddo Parish schools. My public high school education put me in a position to compete and to hold my own with students at Washington and Lee who had gone to private schools or boarding schools and things of that nature. And so I was never out of place in that regard with respect to, my ability to retain information and so forth and so on. And so I go through college, right? I knew my mom said when I was 7, I came home and told her I wanted to be a lawyer. And so I'd known most of my life I wanted to be a lawyer. And so the plan was to go through college, get into a good law school and keep moving. And I got into law school at Washington Lee. So I stayed there to continue my education. Well, I got hit. What was it? Mike Tyson said everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face.
Yes.
I got hit in the face with law school. And, I was the president of my class. But in short order, I started to feel like I just didn't belong. There were so many really sharp people that had come, from all over the country. And many of them, like I started my answer to this question out by talking about my age, right? And so many of them had careers after college and had come back, for education in law school. Whereas there were those of us who had gone straight through. And so I think that it is definitely beneficial to have had a life between college and law school so that when you start learning the principles that they're trying to, teach you in law school, you have some background. In other words, it's one thing to study what a mortgage is, hypothetically, theoretically, but it's another thing to have had to hustle and scrape and pay a mortgage. You understand it from a different level, or secured devices and things of that nature. And so I started feeling way out of place, like I was falling down an elevator shaft, but you keep going, you keep putting one foot in front of the other and you keep doing your best. And I graduated and I didn't get a job initially I only sent out 5 resumes like I knew that I wasn't interested in working in a large law firm and all of the large law firm politics. I wanted a much smaller, more intimate and personal, almost like an apprenticeship experience early on in my law practice. And I came back to Shreveport, and having gone to school in Virginia, coming back to practice law in Louisiana was going to be a tough hill to climb because Louisiana has a different set of laws. I mean, we practice the Napoleonic Code here, and everything is based on statutes. Whereas in the other 49 jurisdictions in the country, there's common law. And so the only Louisiana law that I learned in law school was in footnotes and said this applies everywhere except Louisiana. In other words, I learned Louisiana law by adverse, negative implication. And so I came back here and still had enough hubris to think that I could just grab the law books and start studying, preparing for the law exam, or the bar exam on my own, right? Foolish. It's asinine. So, but you couldn't convince me otherwise because I had never seen a test that I couldn't pass, right?
I know,
And
because you went to the best high school in the land and they really prepared us.
It's a great day to be a Gator every day.
Yes.
And so the lawyer who brought me back to Shreveport, Webber Jack Jr., said, Curtis, the Louisiana bar exam is designed for people just like you. Sharp students who've gone to, Eastern schools, it's designed to weed you out. They can read your exam responses and know that you didn't go to school here. And so I took the bar, and the bar exam in Louisiana is comprised of 9 3-hour exams. You take 3 3-hour exams on the Monday, 3 3-hour exams on Wednesday, 3 3-hour exams on Friday. No notes. And I sat there and we took it in the Superdome. So every time I see the Superdome, I think about taking the bar exam. But we sat there and I was finishing the questions real fast because I didn't have much to say. And I'm looking around the room and all these people are still writing. And I'm like, okay, this is not going to end well. And so I passed 4 of the 9 exams. If I'd passed 5, I would have done what's called condition the bar. And then I would have had to take the 4 remaining ones that I hadn't passed and only need to pass 2. But since I only passed 4, I'm in a position now where I had to take the entire bar exam again. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to regroup. And I moved from Shreveport down to New Orleans. I stayed in contact with some guys that I was playing music with. I'm a drummer. I was playing music when I was in law school with some guys who were in the undergrad at Washington and Lee. They were in their sophomore and junior year when I was a second and third year law student. And we played fraternity and sorority gigs and stuff like that. And I kept in contact with them after I graduated in 96. They graduated from undergrad in 97. So there was a year gap between my completing law school and them completing college. And so I came back here during that year, like I said, failed the bar. And I reached out to them and I was like, look, if you guys move to New Orleans, I'll move down there and we'll, make a go playing music. And so they did, and I did. And so I moved down to New Orleans in the spring of 98. And we lived together. I don't know if you're familiar with New Orleans, but we lived uptown, not very far from the Superdome and like Isidore Newman and Tulane, kind of in that area. And, we just kind of jumped right in and started playing locally. And vying for gigs against very, very competent musicians. And all the while, I'm getting further and further from the practice of law. I wound up, I'd saved up, you'll appreciate this. I saved up $18,000 before I moved down there. And I thought I had all the money in the world.
Yes.
With no wife and no kids. But I promptly went through it, doing what you do in New Orleans. And I'd applied to teach. And, everything in New Orleans moves definitely on its own pace. And so I didn't get a job teaching before I was about to run out of cash. And I called my mom and I said, hey, I need some help with this is the imposter syndrome and self-doubt question. And so I called her and asked her for some help with my insurance and my, and car repairs and stuff like that and my rent. And my nickname is Bud. And she said, Bud, baby, you quit a good paying job to move down there to play music. You'll figure it out. So she said, until you get a job, look, she said, until you get a job, finding the job is your full-time job. I said,
All right. I pray that you've been inspired.
Protect your peace. Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3. He will keep you in perfect peace. Keep your mind stayed on him.
Well, I am very grateful for my friend Curtis Joseph to join me on the Anouk Show. I appreciate each of you all for listening, tuning in today. I hope that you understand that during our waiting periods, we have to trust, and sometimes it is very important to make sure to remember around consistency, and also remember sometimes in the midst of it all, you have to figure things out yourself and know that they all then will work together. I appreciate each one of you guys. I hope you found today's show inspiring. It was so fun to put a spotlight on my dear friend. Let's continue to be inspired and keep on keeping on.
The Anouk Show. Be inspired, be empowered. The Anouk Show. Thursday morning on GSSL Radio.